All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something that's quietly affecting nearly half of all adults. It's not some new virus, but believe me, its effects can be just as serious. We're diving into the hidden crisis of chronic loneliness.
You know, this quote about the iceberg, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We tend to think of loneliness as, just a feeling, something that'll pass. But what's really going on underneath, that hidden part of the iceberg, well, it affects pretty much everything about our health.
Okay, so first things first. To really get a handle on its impact, we need to be crystal clear on what we mean by loneliness. It's a word we throw around a lot, right? But the actual definition is super specific, and honestly, it's the key to unlocking this whole issue.
And here's the most important part. Loneliness has nothing to do with how many people are physically around you. It's an internal feeling, it's subjective, it's that awful, painful feeling you get when the connections you crave just don't match up with the connections you have.
Yeah, and this is such a great way to see the difference. Look, being alone, solitude, that can be a good thing. It can be your choice, a way to recharge. But feeling lonely, that's totally different. That's a feeling of distress. You can literally be in a packed stadium surrounded by people and feel completely, utterly alone. So what happens when that feeling just doesn't go away? That's when we get into the serious stuff. Let's talk about the toll it takes on our minds. Because when that gap we talked about stays open for too long, it kicks off this really nasty, damaging cycle. And I mean, just look at this list. The impact is huge. We're not just talking about feeling sad. Chronic loneliness is tied directly to really serious conditions like depression and anxiety. It can kick them off or make them way, way worse. It messes with your self-esteem, your sleep, and can even lead to the absolute worst outcomes. It's serious. Okay. The mental stuff is heavy, for sure. But here's the part that really blows people's minds. How this feeling, this emotional state, actually causes real, measurable, physical damage to our bodies. This isn't all in your head. No, this is in your cells, in your heart, in your brain. So how does that even work? Well, it all starts deep down, at the biological level. Your body interprets that feeling of being disconnected as a threat, like you're unsafe. So it goes into this constant state of high alert, fight or flight mode. That floods your system with stress hormones and kicks off this low-level inflammation all over your body. And that inflammation, scientists now see it as the starting point for so many chronic diseases. And when you look at the numbers, wow, that constant stress we just talked about, it leads to a 29% increased risk of heart disease. I mean, think about that for a second. That's almost a 1/3 higher chance of developing one of the biggest killers in the world, simply from feeling disconnected.
It's not just our hearts either. The effect on our brains is just as shocking. For older adults, being chronically lonely boosts the risk of dementia by 50%. 50. It's wild. It's like our brains are literally starving for connection to stay healthy.
But if there's one single fact that puts this all into perspective, it's this one. Ready? Health experts now say that the long-term damage from chronic loneliness is the same as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. Just let that sink in for a moment. It's right up there with the dangers of obesity or never getting off the couch.
So, with evidence like that piling up, it's pretty clear this isn't just some personal issue people have to deal with on their own anymore. No way. It's now being seen for what it is, a full-blown public health crisis, and it's happening all over the world.
And you can actually see this shift happening in real time by how governments are starting to react. This isn't some niche concern anymore. I mean, back in 2018, the UK created the world's first Minister for Loneliness. Japan did the same thing in 2021. And just last year, the US Surgeon General basically sounded the alarm, calling it an urgent public health crisis.
So, the big question is, why? Why does not having enough connection wreck us so completely? I mean, from our thoughts all the way down to our actual cells.
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it goes way back. Social connection isn't a luxury. It's not just nice to have. It's a fundamental human need, just like food and water. Think about it. For thousands of years, we survived by sticking together in groups. That need to connect is literally baked into our DNA for survival.
And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about, doesn't it? If social connection is just as vital as food and water, are we actually nourishing it enough in our own lives? I mean, do we give our social health the same attention we give our diet or our gym routine? It's a big question, not just for society, but for every single one of us. Thanks so much for joining this explainer.